Coming up on Network Africa, the Democratic Republic of Congo faces severe medicine shortages and overcrowding amidst a deadly MPOX outbreak. African leaders arrive in Beijing ahead of China-Africa Cooperation Summit. Plus, ahead of October's election in Tunisia, President Kais Said's opponent is arrested. Hello and welcome to the program this week. I'm Layo Olarinde. We begin with health matters in the Democratic Republic of Congo. Several patients at a temporary MPOX isolation ward in the eastern region are in dire need of proper medical care. Hospital staff speak of an overwhelming struggle with medicine shortages and overcrowding. These patients have been diagnosed with MPOX, a virus which was declared a global public health emergency a few weeks ago. President Felix Tshisekedi has approved a $10 million fund to support the outbreak response. Now, several reports over the past 2 weeks indicate that vaccines are expected to arrive soon in the country to help combat the new strain of the virus. 10,000 doses of vaccines arrived the continent last week, with Nigeria receiving the first batch. Africa needs to look within for solutions to curbing the MPOX, as international help, no matter how well-intentioned, will not be enough to prevent the spread of the virus on the continent. Now, these are the thoughts of Professor of Virology, Educational Administrator, and former Vice-Chancellor of Redeemers University and Chairman, National Technical Committee on COVID-19, Professor Oyewale Tomori. He was speaking on our Foreign Affairs program, Diplomatic Channel, following the World Health Organization announcement of MPOX as a public health emergency.
What are we doing with what we have? What are we doing with the surrounding, you have said? Let me quickly look into one thing: vaccine versus disease surveillance. And I think this is the message. The strength of us in Africa is in disease surveillance. We've had 100 years of looking at disease. You remember when, in 2014, when Ebola came into Nigeria, in Lagos? Within 3 months, we resolved it. Only about 20 cases, and I think 8 people died or 11 people died. Did we use any vaccine then? No, we didn't. What did we do? We put in our own disease surveillance. We did our contact tracing. We followed up with the cases. We isolated the cases and introduced IPC, infection prevention control now, and we limited the infection. We have that strength. We have that ability. We've done. Kenya did it for anthrax. Uganda did it for Ebola. Why are we not putting our money in those areas? When I was growing up, each state had an EP division where they had their vehicle. If anything happened in any place, they went there. Today, the EP divisions have abandoned their duties to the NCDC, and they don't even have a bicycle to go and investigate anything. Yet the tire of my president's car can buy many vehicles for innocent, for those people to function. These are the areas where we should focus on our strength and stop embracing our weakness, which is in the area of vaccine.
Well, you can watch the full interview with Professor Tomori on Diplomatic Channel. It airs Monday at 8:30 p.m. in the UK on Sky 515 and 11:30 p.m. on DSTV 420. Still on health matters, pregnant women in South Africa have access to HIV testing and antiretroviral therapy at health facilities. However, health officials in Gauteng province are concerned that babies are still being born with HIV, and this is despite the availability of free medication aimed at preventing mother-to-child transmission. Now, during the first half of this year, Gauteng, South Africa, which encompasses Johannesburg and Pretoria and has a population of over 15 million, saw the birth of 232 babies diagnosed with HIV. Health officials expressed alarm, emphasizing that even one case of mother-to-child HIV transmission is too high, given that the treatments are available. Melanie Langveld, who oversees primary healthcare programs in Tshwane, says multiple factors play a role in this.
There's a variety of factors that play a role, whether it be migrating population or economic reasons or a multitude of reasons, but we say people should know let's make a plan, come to the facility, let's see how we can mitigate the factors that you do not interrupt your treatment because he does not have a good outcome.
I gave birth. I still continue medication, but then also my daughter, she had a certain medication just to prevent us getting infected. But it was not for long. Will I stop? I think after 6 months, then that's when she stopped. Mara, she was taking the nurses test just to check positive or negative, but she came all right. She was negative.
Several African leaders have been arriving in Beijing. That's the venue for this year's Forum on China-Africa Cooperation, FOCAC. Nigeria's President Bola Tinubu, South Africa's President Cyril Ramaphosa are among the continent's leaders joining the two-day 2024 summit, scheduled to begin in the Chinese capital on September 4th. For South Africa, located at the tip of the continent, she's the continent's second largest economy and a participant in the BRICS group. In 2023, trade between China and South Africa hit $55.6 billion US dollars, representing roughly 20% of China's overall trade with Africa. Osiabonga Suele, the ambassador representing the country in China, believes this summit presents new areas with a lot of opportunities. Since the two countries established diplomatic relations in 1998, China and South Africa have maintained strong high-level exchanges, provided solid mutual support on core interests in major issues, and also collaborated closely in international matters.
From the South African perspective, there are new areas really where there's a lot of opportunities, particularly for Chinese investors. In the new energy sector, the whole new energy value chain, including EVs, solar panels, wind, prioritizing technology. So we need that because we need to transform all our production from agriculture, from health, from government to be digitized. So those are the areas of focus for us going forward. Africa is now implementing this Agenda 2063. It's a very important program for Africa. You are implementing your second centenary goal, and the FOCAC becomes that bridge to make these key programs meet. We expect when the leaders meet, they'll come up with a very strong declaration and implementation plan representing basically the vibrancy of the relationship between Africa and China. We also expect that some of the key outcomes may focus on some of the areas like industrialization of Africa.
In the meantime, this is the 9th gathering of FOCAC, and it's expected to provide a framework for navigating China's evolving strategic partnership with the continent in this post-COVID era. It's taking place at a time of rising geopolitical tension that will see Beijing prioritize its position in relation to other world powers. Well, climate and energy are expected to be among the key topics for negotiation between China and Africa stakeholders. Discussions will also focus on digital and technology cooperation in a bid to close Africa's digital divide. Earlier on, my colleague Ini John Mekwa spoke with our correspondent Juliana Olayinka, who is in Beijing, on more expectations at the two-day summit.
It has been a very significant day. Of course, we know that His Excellency, the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, arrived in Beijing yesterday for two things, really. Of course, there's that all-important state visit with the Chinese President Xi Jinping, a really fundamental meeting of two great minds, two powerhouses in the world. And this state visit, which I believe kicks off officially tomorrow, is seen as an opportunity to reset economic ties. We know that China over the past several years, in fact decades, have invested significantly in the Nigerian economy, particularly in railways and ports, which was the basis of lots of the discussions that were held today. Predominantly today, I've got to say, was mainly the business community, perhaps later in the day there'll be some images showing significant deals signed by the Lagos State Governor, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, as well as the Kaduna State Governor, Uba Sani. But I think tomorrow is when we're going to see things kick off proper, when later in the afternoon, I believe it's probably going to be between 9 a.m. and 10 p.m. local time, that the president will be with Xi Jinping. And as I say, this is very fundamental, not just for Nigeria and Africa, but of course for China. We know that geopolitics has changed significantly over the past couple of years, especially because we've got two raging wars, one in Europe, of course, which we've discussed extensively between Russia and Ukraine, but also in the Middle East. And quite frankly, for Africa and China, they are observers in this war, but they also play a significant role in shaping the future of global geopolitics. So I think it's really important and great timing for the president to be here to speak with Xi Jinping, and hopefully we'll be able to bring back a significant investment, particularly, as I said, in infrastructure, technology, and also within critical minerals too.
Yeah, you can say that again, Juliana, because I mean, a lot of Nigerians are expectant. We hear there's going to be MOU signed between both countries. We know there was that currency swap, which was supposed to ease businesses or operations for businessmen. And then, of course, there's the Belt and Road, which Africa as a whole hopes to get more funding. So we do hope that as you keep your ears close to the ground, we would hear some updates from some of these very important areas as the president visits China.
Oh, absolutely, Annie. You know, the Forum on China-Africa Cooperation, which is the main reason why African heads of state are in Beijing, is going to be crucial to discussing the evolution of the Belt and Road Initiative and investments coming through to the critical power sector, as well as in infrastructure and technology. We've got the Minister for Digital Economy here, Bosun Tijani. He was speaking this morning at Huawei, and it does appear, at least from the optics, that the mood music around this Nigerian delegation is very, very positive. Again, of course, we know that Nigeria have been seeking funding and financing from China for several years now, but China too is also in need of significant amounts of investment in their own capacity, particularly when it comes to human power and manpower, and the fact that we have so many really bright, talented young individuals desperate for work. I think that was a critical issue that was mentioned earlier this morning. But again, I think once the forum does actually kick off on Wednesday, we will start to get some more significant sound bites and lines coming out of the presidency in terms of expectations, because of course, you know, this may only be the second official state visit from the president, but we've been around the world a lot, and you know, I think we've gone past the stage now, haven't we, Annie, of just talking or going begging for financing and funding. We need solutions. We want to see this implemented. We want to see it trickling down. We don't just want to see large delegations. So I think tomorrow we'll have more of a better understanding of what exactly is going to be achieved during that one-on-one between President Xi and President Tinubu. And that kicks off, as I said, about 5 p.m. local time.
Oh, African leaders are also in Indonesia for the second Indonesia-Africa Forum, IAF 2024, which kicked off in Bali on Sunday. Indonesian President Joko Widodo welcomed African leaders to the venue, including Liberian President Joseph Boakai, President of Rwanda Paul Kagame, and President of Zanzibar Hussein Mwinyi. President Widodo says the forum is to advance inclusive and sustainable global development, and that Indonesia remains committed to strengthening its ties with African countries. The second IAF is holding till Tuesday, 3rd of September. Indonesia has significantly increased its commitment to African nations, with pledges soaring to $3.5 billion. And this marks a substantial increase from the $568 million committed at the inaugural forum back in 2018.
Indonesia is honored to host the high-level multi-party partnership forum and the second Indonesia-Africa Forum for advancing inclusive and sustainable global development. Indonesia remains committed to strengthen cooperation and solidarity with countries in the African region, and this will also be continued by the next government.
Let's take a break now on the program. Still ahead. A Libyan human trafficker sanctioned by the United Nations is shot dead in Tripoli. We'll give you more details after the break. Please join us again. Welcome back to the program. We continue in Tunisia. President Kais Said's opposition ahead of October 6th election has been arrested. Ayachi Zamel's campaign team say he is accused of falsifying details of those who support him, but they dismiss the allegation as absurd. In preparations for the polls, the Electoral Commission has approved just 2 candidates to run in next month's presidential election, ignoring the country's highest court ruling to reinstate 3 other people. The head of the commission had said he would look at the court's ruling before making a decision, although the court had not officially communicated its ruling within the deadline. Among those approved are President Said and Ayachi Zamel, who is currently in detention. The president faces accusations of trying to restrict the number of those allowed to run against him since he won his first term in 2019. Mr. Said has suspended the parliament, with analysts accusing him of concentrating power to his hands. Back here in Nigeria, no fewer than 10,000 households have been displaced by farmlands, as well as properties worth millions of naira destroyed by flood in Gumi local government area of Zamfara state. The emir of Gumi, retired Justice Hassan Lawal, made this known when Governor Dauda Lawal paid a visit to the local government to ascertain the extent of damage in the area. The governor announced a relief package of 100 million naira and 10,000 bags of assorted grains for the victims.
Flood in Gumi town and Gayari communities in Gumi local government area of Zamfara state has left many houses and farmlands destroyed, with thousands of residents homeless. Governor Dauda Lawal is visiting the area for an on-the-spot assessment of the situation. He is briefed by the Emir of Gumi about the losses recorded.
So far, we have counted 10,291 households that have been affected by the flood.
Governor Lawal sympathizes with the victims as he announces an immediate relief package of 100 million naira, among other items. He also pledges to construct new drainage systems in the state, repair existing dams and build new ones.
I'm here by myself to see for myself and to see what we can do as responsible government by providing assistance to those affected individuals. I've gone around Gumi, I went to Gayari, and I've seen the extent of damage. And for the immediate relief, we're providing 10,000 worth of rice and maize for the community. I'm also providing 100 million naira to the affected community. Going forward also, we are going to identify land that will be given to those affected by the flood.
The residents are pleased with the governor's visit.
Well, I'm extremely happy seeing that His Excellency the Governor had sent in 3 delegations so far, and yet he decided to crown it all by coming himself. We are grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as well as His Excellency the Governor, for coming to see what has befallen our people, and we are confident that he is going to respond very positively.
The state government has set up a committee to oversee the distribution of these relief materials and to ensure that all affected individuals receive necessary assistance.
Well, here in Lagos, the government has selected 50 local chefs to participate in the maiden edition of its Eco Flavors competition. The Eco Flavors project is a culinary platform for food vendors and chefs to showcase their talents and interact with food enthusiasts, starting from the shopping process from an organized market. The State Commissioner for Agriculture and Food Systems, Abisola Olusoya, who carries the selection procession alongside other stakeholders, says over 150 applications were submitted for the competition, but 50 successful participants would be mobilized to shop for the next phase of the competition at the food hub Idioro in Mushin, and that's also to help and support their businesses.
These are video clips of 70 different local chefs, culinary students, and other food vendors who applied for the Eco Flavors.
Hello guys, my name is Ewa. I'm an aspiring chef. You can call me Chef Flavor. This is my
The competition is part of the Lagos State Government's initiative kicked off last month under the supervision of the Ministry of Agriculture and Food Systems to engage the youth, food lovers, and give them the opportunity to showcase their cooking skills with different cultural dishes and also get a reward.
We felt at such a time as this, we can all band together as one, public and private sector, and still help the culinary world get the exposure that it deserves, put our food on the map, as well as just make some people's lives so much better.
Out of over 150 applicants, 50 local chefs have been selected for the competition for them to prove themselves and interact with food enthusiasts.
What we believe in is it's important that you are able to put yourself out there, and digital media does that for everyone. It's important that you're able to showcase yourself, your creativity, and let the world see it. It is important for us to grow that ecosystem and ensure that everybody is given a chance, and then we can know how good your food is.
Presentation wasn't also bad as well, considering you're cooking within a budget. I felt some people were overqualified to participate, but I felt in general it was a good crowd, and hopefully the people we have selected will give us good value for our money.
From 50 participants, another round of selection process will also take place. The Commissioner for Agriculture and Food Systems says the selection process will be done by the public through a voting process.
From 50 that will be selected, they would come to the Fresh Food Hub at Mushin Idioro, which is the next level where they will buy food items. They'll be given free food vouchers, buy food items, and take the food items back home to cook, showcasing to us. So they would have to make videos again and submit the entries, but this time around these 50 will be voted for by the public. So they would have to also speak to their families, to their friends, to their community to also vote for them. So this 20 would get to the quarterfinals. From the 20 there will be another round of competition at the food hall. So the semi-final, you will have 10 contestants, and then from 10 contestants you would have those who would move to the finals, and then you have your top 3.
Some of the food vendors are excited about the competition.
It's just really nice to see them sort of a way of motivating people, to go for their passion, to go for something they love. And this is just going to put the Nigerian cuisine and the African cuisine to the world. It's going to make it global.
The overall winner of the Eco Flavors project will go home with 10 million naira and be the Eco Flavors ambassador for the next 1 year, while all participants will also win consolation prizes. And the Lagos State Government says the overall aim of Eco Flavors project is to educate people on better ways of reorganizing markets for easy purchase.
A Nigerian Canadian woman is set to appear at the Ontario Court of Justice after being charged with uttering threats. Amaka Sonberger was apprehended on Sunday following an investigation into online content she reportedly posted on the 25th of August, threatening violence against specific members of the Nigerian community. According to the Toronto Police, the case is being treated as a suspected hate-motivated offense, with the hate crime unit involved in the investigation. Nigeria's House of Representatives and the Nigerians in Diaspora Commission had petitioned Canadian authorities to investigate and prosecute her for inciting violence and genocide. while the 46-year-old faces up to 5 years in jail. And finally on the program, one of Libya's most wanted human traffickers has been killed in the capital Tripoli, fueling tension in the western part of the North African country. Libyan officials say Abdelrahman Milad, who commanded a Coast Guard unit in the western town of Zawiya and was sanctioned by the United Nations Security Council, was shot dead by unknown assailants. According to media outlets, he was shot dead while he was in his vehicle in the Sayad area in the western part of Tripoli, and no group has claimed responsibility for his killing. That's where we end the program for today. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Layo Olarinde.